Think you know everything about disc brakes? Well, let's find out. Section C of the A5 is about disc brake diagnosis and repair. This section has 16 subsections, and 11 questions on the test are going to come from any of these 16 subsections. Let's get started. Subsections 1 and 2 deal with brake pull, brake drag, and pedal feel. These were covered in videos 1 and 2 of this series. Number 3 is retract the brake caliper piston. This is easy work. You can use a tool like this and a brake pad and push the piston in. But since we're in the rear of the vehicle, this piston has to be twisted in. So we can use a tool like this. Number 4, removing the caliper from the bracket is a no-brainer. But where are the leak points? The caliper piston seal can leak. Obviously, this is the boot. The seal would be behind that. The brake line can leak. And the bleeder screw can leak. The caliper housing is in good condition. Number 5, clean and inspect caliper mountings. So basically anywhere it's mounted looks to be clean, no dents. You should be lubricating your slide pins as part of standard brake service. These are clean and lubricated. These are the threads for the slide pins. Everything seems to be in good condition. Number 6, brake pad inspection. The wear limit on these brake pads is 0.04 of an inch. The old brake pads measure out to about 0.3 of an inch. So they were still good. The wear limit is about right there. And visually, you can tell that these pads have plenty of meat left. I noticed that there's no lubrication where they slide, and this spot is pretty dirty. So we're gonna clean here and add lubrication. For number 7, you should be able to diagnose any seized caliper part. Know how to change the caliper piston, boot, or square cut seal. Basically, with the caliper off, hanging like this, you can have someone press the brake pedal until the piston comes out. You can use a plastic pick to remove the square cut seal. To install, you can place everything in by hand, and you might need a special tool to seat the boot onto the caliper. Number 8 is where the fun stuff is at. Visually, this rotor looks to be in bad condition. The minimum thickness specification is 0.5039. Here I'm using a digital micrometer, and our thickness is 0.5214. This rotor is still good technically. Now we can measure for rotor thickness variation, aka parallelism. Basically take the measurement of the rotor at 8 to 12 points, and we would compare those readings. Here's another measurement at a second point. I'm at 52.15. Take another. I'm at 52.14. The maximum thickness variation specification is 4/10,000ths of an inch, 0.0004. I went ahead and measured it in 8 spots, and the rotor is out of specification. Here we are checking for rotor lateral runout. This measurement includes the hub runout, but obviously not the wheel runout. The tip of the dial indicator is set 90 degrees to the rotor. I spun the rotor until I found the lowest reading, and then I zeroed the reading. Now we're ready to get the measurement. 6, 6. The maximum runout specification for this vehicle is 0.04 of an inch. we saw 6/1000 of an inch. So this rotor is out of specification. What I can do now is index the rotor. Now that I know the high spot, I mark it, remove the rotor, and then measure the runout of the hub to find the low spot. Then I'll match the high spot on the rotor to the low spot on the hub, and this could correct some of the runout. We call this indexing a rotor. Number 9 is easy. I don't need to go over it. Number 10, I'm assuming you've done both. The thing to know is you should allow for 0.15 of an inch to 0.03 of an inch above the discard dimension to allow for wear after machining the rotor. Number 11, standard brake service, you already know. Number 12, torque the lug nuts in a star pattern. Make sure to match any indexing marks. The torque specification for this vehicle is 95 foot-pounds. Number 13, according to free ASE study guides, the general burnishing procedure is 30 slowdown stops from 30 mph with a 30-second cool down. 30, 30, 30. Easy to remember. Number 14 and 15 could be a separate video about wheel bearings. And number 16 is about diagnosing vibration. If the vibration happens during normal driving, then it's a tire or wheel vibration. The wheel could be bent, or the tire could have conicity, etc. If the vibration happens during braking, the culprit is most likely in the braking system. Excessive rotor runout being the most likely cause. And there you go. This section is not difficult if you've serviced many brakes. See ya in video number 4, where we will do the same thing for the drum brakes.